What it is, my 10 Peach and Grease here, and today we're going to be talking about the Zenith Crown or the Zenith Coin. Now this is the Tier 3 coin, meaning it's the highest level coin of the three. In fact, these missions are often called the Nightmare Granum Void missions, and for very good reason. But before we dive into that, let's talk about the potential rewards you can get from this particular coin. The first of which, just like the other two coins, is this Capturicine. This is the Corpus Orbital Cannon Capturicine, and if you're into Capturicines, well, you may want it. The other items that can drop from this coin are going to be the Stropha Stock. Keep in mind, this is the new Corpus Gunblade melee weapon, as well as the Stulta Barrel, which is the new primary, and let us not forget the Protea systems. Now, keep in mind, all of the Protea parts across all three coins have an 11.11% drop chance on all three coins. The point that I'm making here is that on the first coin it took me about 30 plus runs to finally get the Protea Neuroptics, and on the second coin it took me about 20 plus missions to finally get the Protea Chassis, and then on this coin it took me about 20 plus missions to finally get the Protea systems to drop. The other items that can drop from this coin are going to be the Zenith Crown ship decoration, which you see here. And there's also a new shoulder guard cosmetic, which is actually pretty damn cool, I must admit. And that is what you see modeled on my Protea right here. This is the Mortis shoulder guard, and it's really freaking cool. It's this Corpus helmet with a bunch of bullet holes and a gun blade jammed into it. I approve of the shoulder guard. I really do dig it quite a bit. Alright, so with all that being said, let's quickly talk about the Zenith Crown. Okay, as I said already, these are called the Nightmare Granum Void missions, and for good reason. Do not underestimate these missions. I've ran into this mission with people that haven't done it yet, and they went into it with the mindset that, oh, it's going to be just like the first and second coin. No, it is not. If you go into it with the perspective of, oh, this will be easy, you're probably going to get your lunch ate. Yeah. They start off at a decent rank, and they scale up very, very quickly, and they can down you in a heartbeat. So let's talk about the location that you're going to run to farm these coins, as well as open them. Well, this is going to be on Pluto, but fear not. If you haven't quite got Pluto unlocked yet, that's going to be okay, and we'll talk about that here more in a minute. But the mission specifically you're going to want to run is Hydra. This is a capture mission, and it's a very easy, straightforward and mission to run, and it's actually pretty doggone quick as well. Now let's talk about the frames that you're going to want to run for this particular mission. Now, I will tell you right from the get-go here that unfortunately this is not going to be a coin that you're going to run solo. I'm sorry. To be efficient at your farming on these Nightmare missions, the Nightmare Granum Void, you're going to have to do it with the squad. That's going to be the most efficient way to farm this. I know I'm definitely the type of guy that likes to solo all this stuff myself, but unfortunately in this case, it's just not going to be very efficient. Don't get me wrong. To challenge myself, I have been running these Nightmare missions solo, and I'm getting really close to being able to complete it by myself. I've finally whittled it down to about 7 kills away is the last time I ran it. So I'm getting very close to being able to complete this solo. But that's just to challenge myself. Again, this isn't an efficient farming tactic. You're going to want to get a squad to farm this coin efficiently, these missions efficiently. Let's talk about the frames you're going to run. I've run into a lot of people that are trying to run Excaliburs and Titania and many others. Don't get me wrong, these aren't bad frames. These are good frames. But not in this mission. And I'll give you an example. Nidus. Nidus is my favorite frame. In fact, in my opinion, he is the best frame in the game. But in the Nightmare Granum Void mission, he is useless. So as much as I like Nidus, he's not effective on this mission. That's exactly what I'm saying. But you may be wondering, well, Peace, if I can't use whatever frame I want, what frame should I be running? Well, there is a trend developing with these missions, and what is emerging is going to be Nova and Mesa. These are the two frames that are sticking out the most. If you're trying to get a squad together, you're going to want to run a Nova or a Mesa. You just are. If you try to run a different frame, good luck getting a squad in the recruiting chat. You're probably not going to get one. In fact, if you watch the recruiting chat enough, you'll notice this trend yourself, and that is people are looking for Mesas and Novas. So, if you're running one of these frames, you should have no problem whatsoever getting a squad. And if you don't have Pluto unlocked yet on your star chart, it's not that big of a deal. Pretty much everybody is running Hydra on Pluto, meaning that if you don't have Pluto unlocked, but you join a squad, it's okay. Without even asking, you're going to get taxied to Pluto. You just are. You're going to get taxied to it. So it's not that big of a deal. Now, let's talk about the tactics when using Nova. The first and best bit of advice that I can provide here is going to be always keep your 1 up. Your first ability should be on at all times. And the reason for this is because with each active null star, one of your particles, it's going to give you 5% damage reduction. So anytime you're running Nova, your first should always be up. And as soon as it goes down, that last particle disappears, you need to reactivate it. Always have your first ability active. Period. The end. Okay? Now, the reason why we're going to want to run Nova on this mission is going to be because of her 4th. This is M prime, or molecular prime. If you're running Nova, your job is going to be running around spamming the living snot out of your 4th. You will be, that's going to, literally, your thumb is going to get tired of spamming your 4th ability, but that's your job if you're running Nova. You should be spamming the living snot out of your M prime. Nobody should have to remind you. Nobody should have to ask you. That's your job. Your job as Nova is to spam the snot out of your 4th. Okay? Now let's talk about the build for Nova that you're going to want to run. And this is going to be one of 2 builds. And you don't need a crazy amount of forma on this. I've got kind of a really basic bitch type of build on my Nova. Nothing fancy. I literally have 1 forma. Okay? And you don't need the prime variant. If you have a regular Nova, that's fine. It's not that big of a deal. But here's the rub. You need to be flexible with your squad, and you need to find out what build your squad wants. Because when it comes to Nova, there are 2 builds. There is the slow Nova, or a Slova, as you see here. And there is a speed Nova. And you need to ask your squad specifically, what build do you want? Slow or speed? Because you damn sure don't want to go into these nightmare missions and your squad's expecting a Slova and you're running a speed Nova, or vice versa. You definitely don't want to find yourself in that situation. It can get really ugly really quickly. Now, with a slow Nova, all you want is a fair amount of duration. I've got an average power strength of about 130%, which is fine. Range 124, efficiency 130, and my duration is about 254%. That's it. That's all you got to do. For the speed Nova, you're going to want to reduce your power strength as much as you can. I'm down to about 40%, but I think last time I checked it's about 60% to still be an effective speed Nova. As much duration as you can get, I'm at 278%, average efficiency at 130, and average range at 139%. That's your speed Nova. You're going to just reduce that strength as much as you can, and just remember to jack up your duration on both builds. So that's your typical Nova build. Again, you should have, if you're running Nova, you should have 2 builds on your configurations. You should have a Slova and you should have a Speed Nova. And again, ask your squad what they want. That brings us to Mesa. Why is everybody wanting Mesa? Well, for a very specific reason. Basically, Mesa is a really good frame. And what she does is she basically is able to shoot and destroy everything within eyeshot. So having a squad of 2 or 3 Mesas means you're just going to have a killing field. Literally. And if you do your job as Nova, you're going to be M-priming everything, and all of the Mesas are just going to slaughter everything. Just that simple. So tips and tricks for Mesa. Well, for Mesa, the first thing is remove your melee weapon. Okay? You're going to gain an additional 50 points of bonus health by not having a melee weapon equipped. That's all you have to do. Just don't have a melee weapon equipped. That simple. No melee, 50 plus health. So it's a freebie. So don't have a melee weapon equipped. The second thing is always keep your third ability up. Her third ability is Shatter Shield. This is going to give you damage reduction. As you can see here, my Mesa is at 95%. Always have your third ability active. Just that simple. And you're going to be spamming your fourth. That's what Mesa is going to do. All of your Mesas are going to be spamming their fourth ability. Really just that straightforward. Now, what I like to do is find a peak or a rock outcropping and stand on top of it. And I just keep hitting my fourth, spamming everything, and just keep spamming my fourth over and over and over again. Just destroying everything that I can possibly see. Now, if you're running a semi-decent Nova and you're running a group of semi-decent Mesas, you should have no problem with this mission. But again, don't underestimate it. Don't get stuck in your fourth. You should be triggering your fourth, taking out enemies, and canceling it. Triggering your fourth, taking out enemies, and canceling it. Do not get stuck in your fourth ability. That is when you're most vulnerable. That is more than likely when you're going to get downed. That's why I'm saying that the pattern is activate your fourth, deactivate it. Activate, deactivate, activate. Don't stay stuck in it, because those enemies will fly right up to you, hit you with the beam, and knock you down. Just that quick. Okay, so with all of that said, let's talk about tactics. All right, what I ended up doing, a bunch of my friends and I, what we decided to do was we nominated a person to run around and pick up the pyramids. Unlike the first two coins, with this particular coin, the third, you need all the time you can get. That's why it's so imperative that you have somebody on your squad nominated to do nothing but run around and pick up those pyramid time extenders. It is crucial that somebody on your squad is running around and picking up those pyramids. Now, we nominated our Nova, and the reason we did this was because Nova can still run around picking up those pyramids at the same time they are spamming the snot out of her M prime. So that's what we ended up doing. Now, the other tactic is to stay together as a squad, and there's a couple reasons for this. Just like in the relic missions, if your squad is broken up and all over the map, that means the game is going to try to spawn some enemies over here and some enemies over yonder and some enemies here. If you stay together as a squad, the game is going to spawn those enemies in your general location. This is also going to make it easier for whoever your squad member is picking up those pyramids to gather them. So it's going to make it very easy to do that. The other reason you're going to stay together as a squad is because you're going to be burning through energy at an alarming rate. You've got Mesas activating their Shatter Shield. You got Mesas activating your fourth. You've got Nova activating her first. You've got Nova activating her fourth. You're going to be burning through energy like mad. So if somebody does a void dash to generate energy, you want to be in the vicinity to get that. If you have somebody throwing down energy boosters, you want to be in the vicinity to get that. And you can't do that if your team is broken up all over the map. All right? So there you go. So with all those things being said, I'm hopeful that that's going to help you out in finding a squad and getting sorted and getting through these Nightmare Grand and Void missions. But let me know down in the comment section what you think. And until next time, peace out.